Hey guys, now we are going to make our character real world size, and we are also going to get rid of the seams that we see here. We don't want those on our end result. So in the areas where we have separated the body parts, we're gonna make sure those are smoothed out. Now I wanna organize this a bit because you have the lights right in front and it's kind of hard to select the character when we want to scale down our character. I also want to go over here and right click join areas and just try this to the left. Okay, so let's go ahead and put all of our lights in one collection. So I'm gonna go ahead and select all of these lights, area lights, and even the cameras and lights, put them all in one collection and press M, new collection, and I'm gonna call it lights and cameras, and then press OK. So now we could go ahead and just hide our lights and camera, so we have an easier time selecting just our character. And we could also go ahead and press A on our keyboard to select all our character, and we could go ahead and also organize these and put them in a collection. Press M, new collection, and just go call it character and press OK. Now we are going to be using the mannequin, the character that comes by default with the third person map in Unreal. We're going to take that character inside Blender here, and we're going to use it as a reference as our height, because the height for the mannequin there, in the male mannequin in Unreal, is about a little bit over 6 foot, and that's fine for me. I do want Michael B. Jordan to look like a protector, powerful, so a little bit over 6 foot is fine. And to export out the mannequin in Unreal, let's go ahead and open our Unreal software program, and it's going to load up. I'm going to pause this video and get back to you guys. Alright, so once this is open up, you're going to see recent projects, games, films, architecture, and so on. Click on where it says games, and we're going to do third person. Click on third person, blueprint, desktop, maximum. Make sure you have starter content turned on, very important. And project location, just go ahead and tell Unreal where you want to save your work and name it whatever you want, and just hit create. And just loading, and I'm going to pause this video and get back to you guys. Alright, so you can see that there's our third person maps all loaded up. To access the mannequin character, let's go to our characters folder here, and let's go to the mannequins. You're going to see meshes, and then you're going to see some meshes here that you could use. Of course, we have the lady one, and we got the male one. We're going to use the SKM Manny Simple. We could go ahead and drag it to our scene to see how that looks like. Press F on your keyboard. So we are going to export out this guy and use him as a reference. Let's go to File and Export Selected, and just save it wherever you want it to be saved. And I already have that saved. FBX file, hit save. And just go ahead and hit export again. Alright, now you go back to Blender, and we could import that guy in here. Go to File, Import, and FBX. And I save on my downloads, third person map. Alright, just wait for it to load up. And there it is. Very small because our character here is just a giant. Our character is not real world size at all, but this one is. And Unreal is using meters, I believe, in Unreal, yeah. And you can see here, it looks like there's some LODs here. There's level details, extra geometry there that we don't need. So we could go to, if you guys look at your scene area here, you're going to see SKM Manny Simple. Click on the drop down arrow, and click on the drop down arrow again for the roots, and you're going to see there's different meshes here. We could just delete where it says LOD1 and LOD2. So now we only have one mesh that we could use. And it also came with the bones, so we could just go and delete those. If we select that and press delete, you could see that the character is no longer real world size, right? Let's go and select our character, and let's go to our tabs here. Click on this arrow here, or press N on your keyboard, and it's nanny to have these pop up. And then you're gonna go to tools, go to item, alright? In the item tab, you're gonna see scale. We're gonna set this to 0.01, so highlight everything for the XYZ, 0.01. Alright, and if you press down your numpad, this is actually the real world size that we need. And we could go ahead and press G and X, just move it to the side. So we need to scale our character here so it's going to be the same size as the mannequin here. Alright, so we could go ahead and select everything for our character, press A. And it also selected the mannequin also. I'm going to hold control and deselect that. Now before we start scaling our character here, so before we scale it down, we need to press Control A and apply all transformations. We need to do that so that when we are scaling, it's not going to veer off to the left or to the right. Okay, it's very important that this character stays in the middle of the grid. So it's important to Control A, apply all transformations. And now we can go ahead and scale our character down. You see how when we're scaling him down, it's not veering off to the left and to the right? That's because we have applied all transformations. So we just need to scale this guy down, scale our character down so that it's the same size as this mannequin. Press G and then Z to move it up. We do need to have it on top of the grid here and scale it. Press G and then Z. Alright, double checking everything. Alright, and I'm gonna go ahead and scale this down. Press G and then Z. G, Z, there you go. And I'm gonna go ahead and move this here and let's check. I don't mind if he's slightly shorter. That's okay. A little too short. I'm gonna go ahead and select all these. I'm gonna make sure that I'm only selecting the character indeed. So I'm gonna select everything that's here. Alright. Okay, cool. And then scale. Make sure you're not selecting any of the component here for the skeletal mesh component because it will accidentally veer your character to the left to the right. So make sure you're only selecting the actual meshes for the character that's in your collection. Yep, I think that is it. Let me see here. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so that is real world size. If you want to check exactly how tall your character is, you could Shift A and create a cube. And then you could go move it here. Scale it. Scale the cube as tall as your character. And if you hit the tab key, select all your meshes for the cube. And you can go to the drop down arrow here for the viewport overlay, and you're going to see edge length. You can turn that on. Right now it's 2 meters high. You could convert that to feet to see what is that for in feet, or you go to scenes here, go to units and set it from metric to imperial. So right now it's 6.5 foot. All right, so he's 6'5". And yeah, I think Michael B. Jordan is 6'1". So, like I said, I don't mind if it's a little taller. That's okay with me. But yeah, this is the height that we're going to be using. And yeah, everything's in real world size now. We could go ahead and just hide the skeletal mesh. Maybe I'll delete it later. But right now, I just want to keep it there just in case. I don't know. And we also need to, as I mentioned before, we need to get rid of the seams that we see there. All right. Let's go ahead and select. Alright, so it has selected. Hold shift, select the body. So I have these selected. You see the feet's already combined, but just the head is separated from everything else. So I'm selecting just the character's body, Control J. So now if I click once and I press G to move, everything's combined. But of course, that doesn't get rid of the seams here. Alright. So what we can do is go Control Tab, go to Sculpt Mode, and we have to remesh this. And let me tell you, once we remesh this, the paint that we have done for the eyebrows, the hair, everything will be removed because the UVs are gonna break every time we remesh this. But it's okay because later on we are gonna be painting this in Substance Painter, right? But yeah, just give the heads up, don't be alarmed. Alright, to remesh, go to remesh, and by default, right now I have it at 0.14, and if I go ahead and just click remesh without playing around with voxel size, if I click remesh there, see how I got rid of the details in the face. I'm going to undo that. you need to go ahead and mess around with the values here. You might want to have to lower it down so that you're not going to get rid of the details that you have added. At the same time, you don't want it too low where it's going to take too long to remesh it and it's going to lag when you sculpt on it. So I already know what value to put here because I've been messing around with this. I suggest you guys make a backup copy of your work and play around with it. But yeah, I already know what to put. I'm going to set to 0.025 and I'm going to go ahead and just remesh this. Alright, so I'm just going to wait for a few seconds until this is remeshed. Alright, so that did not take longer than a minute at all, so that was good. Now if we go to our smoothing and go smooth this out, you can see we're now able to smooth it. And you could crank up the intensity of the smooth if you're having a hard time. And you could also go to the clay strip brush, add some clay on top of where you see the seams there. Alright, and then you can go ahead and smooth, going back and forth between the clay strip brush and smoothing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to object mode and I'm going to go ahead and isolate this Shift H so I could just see our character here without the clothing. And back onto our scope mode. And I'm just going to go ahead and re-add back some of the details here and just smoothing it. And of course this is looking kind of nasty, so yeah, add some of that clay on top. And also here, clay on top and smooth it. Alright, and I'm also going to go here in this area. I'm going to go ahead and smooth this out. And having a hard time smoothing this, so I'm going to go to my scrape brush and just kind of flatten it with a scrape brush. And I'm going to go to my clay strip and just push the clay in. So you definitely might have to do some more sculpting on some areas. Put some clay on top. You can see there's some holes here. And I don't think just doing that will get rid of the problem. So I'm going to have to put a clay on top. And then I'm going to have to remesh this again. Control R to remesh that. So yeah, if you see some holes there, definitely going to have to remesh this. Alright, so it's just kind of loading. Yeah, just take some time. Alright, so it's good to go. Now if I go ahead and back to smoothing, I could no longer see those holes. And you might want to add back the bony landmarks that you have added previously. Could do that. Could re-add back some of the tendons and some veins to just kind of blend it all in again. Add back the tendons here. And then I'm going to go back to the clay strip and just add some clay on top here for the fat pads. Alright. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to go back to the foot area. You can see there's some seams there. If you're having a hard time navigating, press dot on your numpad and that should make it easier. Dot on your numpad. So just smooth it, and I'm gonna go to my clay strip and re-add back some of those details here. And here, thinking about the tendons, just redefining it again, as I had previously. Grab a brush and just pull that in and smooth it. that back in. And it looked like there's a little issue here that I'm gonna have to smooth out. Look like there's a little bit of dent here going. I think that was because I was messing around with the size of the foot when I was doing the shoe area. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix this. I'm gonna go ahead and scrape this out and smooth it. Scrape that out and smooth it. And use a clay strip to add some clay. And just go ahead and add back some of those tendons. Alright, and smooth this out. This area needs to be smoothed out. And we could go ahead and smooth out some of the area here for the leg. The bigger your brush size is, the more you will notice that it kind of gives a little lag on the blender. But it's okay. Just go and smooth it. Take your time. Oh, there's a little issue here. I'm gonna go ahead and add that bulkiness again around this area. Alright, so I'm just kind of smoothing this area out. Trying to smooth it as much as I can. That way when we retopologize this, it's not going to be as pixelated. So I know that Michael B. Jordan is not this defined. So what really I'm doing is just kind of smoothing things out. You could start out with a predefined character, and then if the character is not defined, it's going to be easier at the end because all you have to do is smooth it and some of those details will remain there, which will give that realistic feel to it. And I think this is a little too much. Smooth that out, too much. So just soften the area out and smooth it. Same here, we could add a little break here and smooth it, add a little break and smooth it. Okay, and that's it with our getting rid of the seams there and show everything. In the next video, we are going to start with topologizing our character here.